Throughout the years, Subway Surfers has remained a tyrant in the mobile game world. However, beneath all of the success lies pieces of a story that, when all connected, create a fairly complex story that nobody has seemed to look into. So join me as we unravel this series and figure out what exactly has been going on. Hi everybody, I'm here in the desert. Don't know which one, don't know why, but based on the heat, I don't think I'm gonna survive. But that's not important. If I find water, that's great. But anyway, Subway Surfers is a household name at this point. You probably recognize it for that one mobile game, but trust me, there's so much more to it. Subway Surfers takes place on a modified version of Earth. This is an Earth where technology is slightly more advanced. Civilization has started to colonize the oceans, and train yards stretch hundreds of miles, but only like 40 feet wide. The first major time point is on May 24th, 2012, when the game originally was released, and where the first major event takes place. 3 kids start this saga by sneaking into a train yard and tagging the trains all around. Of these 3, we got Jake, the rebellious kid who loves eating and committing mild crimes, Tricky, who comes from riches and is hiding this life from her family, and Fresh, who's just like a dude who's happy to be here. He's my favorite. But anyway, while doing the illegalness of a graffiti, Jake gets spotted by the train yard guard and begins the first endless run. This is Ted Lutz, better known as the security guard. He is the most powerful character in the universe. He's considered the antagonist, but truthfully isn't that bad of a guy. Just a dude with anger management issues hellbent on serving middle schoolers justice. Don't believe me? Across literally billions of attempts of these kids trying to evade the guard across every corner of the world, they have not once managed to escape him. He is the amalgamation of the indomitable human spirit. Whatever he puts his mind to ends up happening. Now, if you're asking why the main crew can travel across the world so frequently, we'll get into that in a bit. The one thing that absolutely needs to be discussed is the hoverboard. Now, the hoverboard actually has an origin story that we would see throughout the entirety of the Subway Surfers animated series. The first season takes place at least 2 days before May 24th, 2012. I lied earlier, this is actually the first entry in our timeline. That was a complete fallacy. I already introduced the first 3 main characters, but we have a 4th pal, Utani. Now, Utani, in my opinion, is the most important character of the cast. Long story short, she's basically motherless Jimmy Neutron. Like, actually, it's just Jimmy and Hugh Neutron. But this first season is kind of weird. All 11 episodes take place in an incorrect order. Episode 1 is chronologically the 3rd, the 2nd is the last, the 3rd is the 1st. We're gonna look at this in its correct order, which is laid out like this. Starting in episode 3, Tricky's real name is revealed to be Beatrice. Normally I'd question a name like Tricky, but this is one of those cases where either name is a lose-lose. Tricky has a ballet recital today. I promise this goes somewhere cool, but her mom's kind of preppy and overwhelming. Her dad, not so much. There's a very consistent trend of supportive father figures throughout the show. It's a weird thing. I hate Jake, and coincidentally, he's the only one without a father. Coincidence or correlation, I don't know. As she's about to head out to change her clothes to go skate to her recital so she can change back into the recital clothes and waste everyone's time, her mom chases her and gives her the family heirloom so she'll look good when she bombs the routine. But don't worry, it's not important. What is though is that their yard worker was recording the whole interaction and sends it to a suspicious Dropbox. This will be important soon, but until then, we need to talk about what everybody else is doing until this. Utani ignores the entire recital thingy, trying to make a weather machine, and fails at first, but thanks to her, once again, supportive father, who happens to be a retired pro skater, he supports her, and it technically succeeds. This is also when it's revealed Utani's a streamer, and she genuinely wears the alien costume everywhere. The child is lacking self-respect. Fresh gets struck by the machine and the rain, then Jake declares he's hungry, so they go to Utani's dad's restaurant house place called Skate Heaven. Jake tries to eat the most fries possible. This results in him getting hospitalized, but still making it to Tricky's ballet recital within a half hour with a very normal looking audience, and there's nobody suspicious within it. Tricky's dance goes horribly wrong, but Jake decides to rig the score in an act of kindness, and to celebrate, Utani meets up with the 3 of them at their train yard halfpipe. Just a bunch of talking. Tricky has an existential crisis about her life. Jake almost gets hospitalized for the 2nd time within a half hour, and breaks his at minimum cost $30 skateboard over a $5 bet. And Utani during all of this is using her metal detector until all the metal objects surrounding them starts levitating. The metal detector then shoots him into a hole and shoots him out with an all-new turbine. And this is what immediately gets the children thrown onto a watch list. Oh heavens and cheese, now we got the Secret Society. Their organization name might also be Infinity, but the Secret Society sure is a secret society, so we're just gonna call them that. Now you may be wondering, hey wait a dang smackin' second, why was the groundskeeper yard worker recording Tricky before they even found the turbine? Well, based on the framing of the picture, I'd assume it would have to do with the heirloom. And considering the gem is the same color as all the mystical, magical technology gunk, I'd say it's safe to assume it's important to the story. And that means Tricky's on a watch list for 2 separate reasons. I heard if you get to 5, they let you pick something out of the prize chest. Then the next day happens. Jake, being the leader of the friend group, declares he's hungry and tells his friends all to meet him at Skate Heaven. Now Fresh ignores his loving parents and the breakfast they probably worked hard on to go be a goofball, but his boombox Boomy is missing. Oh, frolicking Freckles, that sure is a crisis. He's gotta find Boomy. And then he does that. That's the plot of episode 9. Also, we see his sister, another playable character named Ella. She never does anything important, we can ignore her. At Skate Heaven, not much happens other than Fresh stains his friggin' J's. Oh, this is horrible. Do you know how hard it is to get a stain out of a white shoe like that? Apparently not, because the king, that's named King, shows up and decimates the entire crew with his drip and bars. He's genuinely cooler than all of them combined, but he's also homeschooled. And in the nicest way possible, just by looking at him, you can tell. After this, the gang goes skating and tries to teach Yutani how to skate. It's mostly a failure, then Jake once again decides he's hungry and goes back to Skate Heaven. This section's mostly filler, with the exception of like some weird tremor thing going on at the episode. It's never brought up again. Later, Yutani brings everyone back to the train yard to show what she's discovered relating to the turbine. Most importantly, that it's creating a real, functioning hoverboard. Not much happens other than, again, Jake flops pretty dang hard, but this time there's someone new watching them. The security guard! That's right, the security guard spots them loitering and tagging and starts going after Jake and a regular Subway Surfers round plays out. Though partway through, the guard goes underground and finds another completely separate person walking around. Fellas, this is Frank. Of all the important characters in the series, Frank is by far the most interesting character of note here. He never says anything in the show, he's hidden both in-game and in the show if you look hard enough. He's everywhere. But why? Well, this episode gives us the best view of what exactly Frank does and why he matters. He walks down underground following some sort of tracker, opens up some weird subway control pad, some rotten little child graffiti blocks whatever he's doing, and then he gets pissed. And then he just walks away. The train's gone though. I hope nobody was in there though. Jake gets caught and brought home, and then Jake sneaks out. So Jake has not slept in about 30 hours and was willing to eat an old sub as he subway surfed to the subway, but when that fails, he decides to go to Skate Heaven for a 4th time. And my god, I hate this child so much. That damn schmoil, he knows what you did. I know what you did. You do think you're so... I don't like Jake. Now remember, all of that was season 1 of the show, but now we got season 2. This is really where things start getting intense. This was the first course of an entire series of feasts. As season 2 episode 1 starts, we watch as... Hold on. What? This is just blank. There's nothing to continue with. Where's season 2? Where's season 2? There is no season 2. As of 2019, there has not been a single new episode or even announcement of potential continuations. And you know what? I'm a little insulted. I went through like 50 minutes of content and was just waiting to see how far we could stray from the funny, silly mobile game. In fact, the director man said, "Oh, we came up with like 7 seasons worth of story. We can't tell you what happens in them, but it's gonna be so cool. Everyone's gonna be like, oh, you're gonna love it. You're gonna love what we did with everyone. You're gonna love it. It's just gonna be so cool." Where's the seasons? Where's the story? I don't see them. So now that leaves it to me for the time being. I'll have to speculate based on the hints we've been given. This is like trying to make a sandwich, but the only ingredient that I have is tomato slices, and I don't even like tomatoes by themselves as slices. If this ages poorly and somehow we get like another season or some continuation, consider this a prediction. But I'm guessing the hoverboard we see all the characters use originated from that turbine and skateboard being modified further. I wouldn't be shocked if they got away with manipulating the technology. I would also say the heirloom's vital to the secret society technology and whatever, and then Frank is like some sort of accomplice of the society. The motives of all of them are still totally unknown. They just exist. I don't know what they intend to do, but I guarantee you it probably involves controlling the world. There's a connected series of videos called the dossiers, or dossiers, it's a French word, I don't know French, and these go over the secret society's files related to each character, though the Frank one sees him deleting his own files for some reason. Again, there's not really much we can work with. There's so many directions I could see this splitting off. It just creates problems for me, and I don't know how I feel about that. Now coming back to the games, because all of this exists in a single story, one event has you running in a space station where there's this robot with the Frank mask and some secret society technologies and coloring, heavily implying they're about finding and manipulating higher tech the world is getting from somewhere. I'd love to get answers, but I don't know. I really don't. Along with that, there's some aliens that the Society have captured, and these are actually heavily implied to be connected to a separate series connected to Subway Surfers. The creators made another endless runner called Blades of Brim, and I'm gonna be honest, this game was significantly more fun than Subway Surfers. The level layouts actually had more with them, and I liked it. In this game, a gang of warriors from all across the world gotta beat the Goon Lord, because oh no, the Goon Lord is gooning, and he's making his goons goon. Let's stab them. So that's cool. This might be a plot hole though. The initial trailer of Blades of Brim had the guard playing it on his phone. This is simultaneously an in-universe mobile game, and also, you shouldn't be shocked by now, this silly kids game franchise that's been around for years has a multiverse. Wow, that's really the way to go for all these types of games. I promise you, I'm not forcing it. It's just that every single moderately popular franchise has some sort of alternate dimension or multiverse. Oh boy! I think that's all there is related to the Society, but there's actually a few sequel games. So let's take a look at them. December 23rd, 2019, Subway Surfers Airtime is like this 2D exclusive racing game that's exclusive to Snapchat games for some reason. If you want to play this game, you have to go into a Snapchat DM and select the game, or at least you could, because Snapchat removed this feature in early 2023. I hope at least one person found out Snapchat games don't exist anymore because of this video and because of Subway Surfers. This was how I found out. July 7th, 2022, Subway Surfers Tag. I forgot to mention that Yutani can board now, and that's character development, I think. In this one, everyone looks like a Muppet and they're being mischievous, but looking at the trailers, this game looks pretty fun. I think I'll have to check it out. Just kidding, it's an Apple Arcade exclusive, and I have enough self-respect to say that I'm not paying for a subscription service for mobile games. Apple, you can have as many fun, silly, unique, exclusive mobile games that I totally want to play as much as you want. But this is a test of integrity that I have been and will be continuing to pass. You are cracked out of your mind if you think I'm going to pay 15 schmuckos a month for this. November 4th, 2022, Subway Surfers match lets you help Jake vandalize public property. At this point, Jake fully deserves to be behind bars. I'll help snitch where needed, just know I'm not a narc, I'm a Pisces. This is a puzzle type game, that's great. This is where I remind you that all these kids are being tracked by an entire organization and nothing's being done about it. Anyway, April 21st, 2023, Subway Surfers Blast. This is another puzzle game adventure, but this time you gotta make their hangouts look nicer, and that's really all that goes on here. One of the trailers starts the kids in some sort of puzzle dimension, and like my freshman year of high school, we're never ever gonna bring it up again because nothing of value was attained here. And that's every other game. You'd think after a decade there'd be something else going on, though I guess they forgot to turn the oven on all the way, and now the food's probably still gonna be edible, but it'll be a bit undercooked, and like it'll be a little too late now. Luckily though, we still have the silver lining that is the titan of the main game, Subway Surfers. This game across the past decade has absolutely continued to update on a monthly basis. New characters, cosmetics, and all of that stuff has been added over the years. Unfortunately, despite there being hundreds of characters that have been added to the roster, I would argue we've already covered all of the ones that have or could have any plot relevance. The animated series is the most relevant anyone is, and only 7 of them show up in it. Like there's known Cthulhu monsters and an actual zombie, but it means nothing. None of this matters. There's a Burger King skin. I own the Burger King. Frank goes to Burger King. It might be important. I don't know. They don't address any of this. Is Burger King gonna be important later on? I don't know. I would love to treat this like a situation where this is a goofy baby game and shrug it off, but there was, and still is, an attempt to continue the story through the tiniest hints that nobody seems to take note of, even though millions of people have for sure seen this gameplay under their little attention span reducing TikToks. I hope the characters get royalties for all this footage, because now we got one teensy tiny little itty bitty baby question still up in the air, and maybe that extra cash from those royalties could help them out, but I can't help but ask, how do they manage to travel so much? After years and years of doing nothing but vandalizing train yards, these little freaks have managed to get to every corner of the planet and do what they always do, vandalize in other places. They're expanding their little atrocities, attacking baby penguins in the Arctic, drawing penises in Australia, going to Europe. All the bad things a person can do has been done by them. And they just smile. They just grin ear to ear knowing what they're doing. I see the wrath in those empty eyes. You can't fool me. 2 important things happen throughout all of this. Somehow, thanks to the secret society and their efforts, Yutani has been able to understand the weird turbine, so now all the kids have access to absurd gravity and magnetic technology that we see in the power-ups. This is how they travel across the planet. They wake up, fly to Shanghai or something, indulge in crime time, and then head back home and do it all again the next day. That's all. These kids are able to do all this stuff just because they want to. No financial gain, no sightseeing, just train yard hijinks at every train yard. This is also how they recruit new kids. Every location they get a couple new Subway Surfers to join their crew and take the operation even further. None of this technology is shared with the world, despite the amount of money these kids could earn and how much the world could potentially benefit. You just got to accept these funny little guys are using this gear to run around stupid places across the world and even beyond it, just because they can. And I can tell you, Jake knows what he's responsible for as the friend group leader. Never have a friend group leader. I promise you, they'll end up like Jake and his corruptive influence. So what do we do now? The world is at the mercy of whatever these 7th graders want. Who can stop this? The guard. Yeah! I wasn't lying earlier. Every single day, he's following these kids to train yards and doing whatever he can to make sure they get served their proper justice. They can run as much as they can, but no matter what acrobatic Applebee's bullshit they pull off, the guard and his noble steed are always a second behind them, waiting for the slightest slip-up on their run to snatch them up, send them home, just so they do it again the next day. He is a modern Sisyphus who deserves the world, and so much determination literally radiates from every crevice of him in those khakis of justice. The guard solos your favorite verse and the Burger King. He might not even be getting paid for this. He just hates vandalism that much, and good for him. Honestly, what did Mumbai do to have Jake exist? And I just know this kid's fuming every day, every waking moment, running from him, never being able to escape those stupid eyebrows thickened by a single nanometer every time he's caught. They're so thick, you could fit an entire Hampton hotel in there. Okay, what can I say? That's everything we know for certain so far. This has yet to conclude a story and has been mostly stagnant for years. So much could branch from here, but nothing's done about it. We're just in an endless limbo with no escape. Just like these train yards, who knows when it will end, if ever. What's the deal with the heirloom? Why is Frank everywhere, including Burger King? What does the guard eat to have this level of cardio? We don't know. And honestly, that really does suck. All we know is that Frank put Jake on some sort of list. Frank undoubtedly is set to be important. This technology is wanted, but again, nothing was ever done about it. So ultimately, we're back to square one. What the average person sees Subway Surfers as. That being an endless runner where the guard always catches the surf is exactly what's been playing out this entire time. You can remove any fraction of the built-up story, and currently, nothing would change. It was set up and never followed through. I don't like that. But who knows, maybe someday we'll be able to come back to the story in the future. Maybe some point down the line we'll get to see this story move on further. I can't really say anything, nor can I confirm what happened behind the scenes to stagnate the story to this point. That being getting a drip of story every blue moon in this drought. So if the Subway Surfers peeps see this video somehow, hi guys. I'm sure we would all love to see you guys continue the story, so this specific discussion can age badly, and if you do make another continuation, please don't make these compilations. There's like 50 minutes of content, you made 20 official compilations that each made millions of views. That's kind of smart, but also a little embarrassing. I'm calling you out for this. And that'll do, guys. I hope you enjoyed. If you look in the distance, you might just see a mirage that coincidentally is a statistic. I'm obligated to tell you to subscribe and give me money. Yeah, so that helps me out. I'm gonna survive out here, I guess. Also, this showed up. Hopefully what's inside is something drinkable. Oh, son of a mother... never mind. This is just a bunch of LaCroix. This is useless.